Good morning. We're talking about 15 plumb lines over the next several months for marriage and family. We talked last week about fighting for contentment. So I want to give a second plumb line. And I started with contentment because contentment is sort of like the grounding virtue that if you're able to get that in a frame of reference in your life, it really helps solve a lot of other issues. But there's a very active thing that you can do that will, in many ways, extend itself into most of the other plumb lines that I'll mention to you. And that action point forms our second plumb line. So the first plumb line was fight for contentment. Here's the second plumb line. Just die already. Just die already. It's a very common theme that people who get married, after the first year of their marriage, they learn that they are selfish. I was talking with a young man the other day that I married not long ago, and he shared with me that in our counseling time, our premarital counseling time, I had shared with him one of the things I share in premarital counseling, which is that you learn how selfish you are when you're married. You think you know, you think you go, I know I'm a selfish person, but you get married, and it takes a mirror in front of you, and sort of one of those close-up mirrors, you know, like when you're in the bathroom and you want to really see the pores in your skin, and you get up close and you're gonna look and pinch some things and treat some things, put some cream on. You get up close to that magnifying mirror. That's what marriage is like. It's like a magnifying mirror, and it gets up real close. And you get to see up close yourself. And you, after a year or so of marriage, go, wow, I didn't know there was that wrinkle. Well, I didn't know I needed to pop that pimple. There's things that are brought to the surface that you see in your selfishness that you couldn't see otherwise. And then you have kids. And you go, man, I think I got a lot of it out of me when I got married. And then you have children and you realize, wait a minute, there's more selfishness rooted in me. And you get back in front of that mirror again. Your kids are awesome, by the way, at putting mirrors, force feeding, as it were, mirrors in front of you, and you get to see it. So selfishness is something that's got to be rooted out. How do you do that? You die. You just die. And I say, just die already. Why? Because the longer you hold on to your own life, what happens? You're losing it. You're losing it. Listen to Luke chapter 9, verse 23 and 24. And he said to all, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. This is about following Christ. And so you might say, well, Bryan, aren't you kind of reading into it? And you're talking about marriage and family. And so, no, the most intimate place you follow Christ is in your marriage and with your family. They see the real you. If there's any context in which you need to die every single day, or die and remember that you died every single day, it is in the context of your marriage and family. To deny yourself, to say no. Now listen, this lands not ethereally. It lands remarkably practically. It lands in things like, you have the last donut, not me. We're going to go to your restaurant tonight. Sure, sibling, you can borrow that. Not a big deal at all. Let me pick those up. I'm sorry that habit that I have is driving you, I don't know, insane. I'll correct it. I'll address it. When someone is regarding the self, when someone has not died already, here's what happens. They eat the last donut. They don't pick up their junk. They expect other people to do things for them. They don't take care of their own space. And then it extends. And it extends to, they don't talk. when they ought to talk. They aren't kind when they ought to be kind. They don't extend their life and resources when they ought to extend their life and resources. They don't look to go without in the biggest ways of their life because they've never learned to go without in the smallest ways of their life. Just die already. That means that I put to death the desire to satisfy myself so that you, my wife, you, my husband, you, my daughter, you, my son, you, my mother, you, my father, you, my grandchild, you, my uncle, you, my aunt, that you will experience, my sister or brother, you will experience what it means to live with someone who says, no, I'll deny myself. I will pick up my cross, right? Don't read in that huge magnanimous, okay? It includes those things. It includes bearing up under real suffering. It includes weathering life to share the gospel. It does. But it includes, yeah, you can have that donut. It includes, I'll do the dishes. It includes, sure, you can use that. It includes, yeah, I'll clean up my space. It includes, how can I proactively assist? It includes, let's go to where you want to go. It includes, how can I serve you? It includes all of these things. Because the person who talks about dying in the magnanimous ways but can't die in the microcosmic ways doesn't know anything about death. And the person who lives in marriage, who lives in family and feeds themselves is toxic to their family. Galatians 2:20 reads, I have been crucified with Christ. If you're a Christian, this is your reality. You've been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. Jesus living in and through me, and the life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself up for me. I'm so plugged into Christ that his ethic is pouring through me. The life I now live in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave. I'm living, and as I'm living, the character of Christ who lives in me is pressing through me so that they see selflessness. They see one who did not consider his life worth keeping, but gave it up. So I get a chance to rehearse the gospel and replicate sacrifice. So what's our plumb line? Just die already. Micro to macro, die already. Watch what happens if you do that and don't worry about who else in your home is doing it. See, dying already means that you're only concerned with putting yourself to death, putting your own desires to death, and serving others. Just die already. Have a good week.